Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. It is Tuesday, so it is Tag Tuesday, and today I am doing the used bookstore tag, which Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading created, and the Alexa has something to say. Sorry about that. Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading created and tagged me in, and I do love myself a good used bookstore, so let's get into it. There are 10 questions plus tag some people. So the first one is, what is your favorite or most often visited used bookstore, and what sets it apart or makes it special? So going through this tag, and I haven't done a lot of prep for this tag, but going through this tag, I'm actually going to keep in mind 3 different used bookstores because they're all very different. One is Powell's. That's my local indie, and it is a new used bookstore. So you can buy new books or used books. One is the Reader's Guide, which is a used bookstore in Salem, Oregon. It's where I grew up. I love this bookstore. I don't get to go to it as often as I would like, but it is a fantastic used bookstore. And then the third one would be my pop-up library bookstore or the library book sale. So books sold by friends of the library. Okay. And they each have something that makes them special. So Powell's is Powell's. I mean, going to Powell's is an experience, especially if you go to the World of Books, which is the downtown Burnside store. My Powell's is the Cedar Hills Powell's, so if you go in, it feels a little bit more like a Barnes & Noble, and that's fine. Usually when I go to the downtown Powell's, I'm with Bookish Best Friend, and it's more of an experience thing, but if I'm looking for a specific book, I will go to I'll go to the Cedar Hills store. And usually when it comes to used books, so I will look and see. Powell's is very selective about the used books that they purchase to sell. So I can usually, lots of times I will get used books, purchase a used book. In fact, I just recently did. I could not tell the difference between a used book and a new book. They're very selective about that. And lots of times that's not always the case at a used bookstore, and that's fine because books are used. But because Powell's keeps such a high standard on it, you can still get those really high quality used books. And because they're new and used, you have a very wide selection of books. So if at a used bookstore, you have what's there, but at Powell's, you have all the books, and then you can sometimes have a choice between new and used. So in the Reader's Guide, so the Reader's Guide has been in 2 locations. And when I lived in Salem, it started in this like little old strip mall on Edgewater Drive, and it started in one little storefront, and then it kind of grew to the next storefront, and then it kind of grew to this next storefront. So there's all these little trails to get through the bookstore to find what you wanted. It has since moved to a larger location, like just a couple doors down. So it doesn't have that kind of traily thing, and I kind of miss that, but they now have room for more books and it's easier to find things. But the vast majority of books at the Reader's Guide are used. They do have a couple, like they will have a few new ones, but 95% are used. And you will get a wider variety of quality in the used books there. I mean, they're not going to give you one they're not going to sell something that's falling apart, but you can get something that definitely looks like it's used. And you can also get something that looks very new. It just kind of depends. However, their pricing, and there's questions about the pricing on here, so I'll get to it, seems to be about the same no matter what the quality is. So there's that. And then the library, the Friends of the Library bookstore, which is both the Friends of the Library bookstore, which is there all the time, plus their big library sale. So the selection of, I mean, this is the cheapest one to get books. It is far cheaper than either Powell's or Reader's Guide. And it's right there. It supports the library. It's not a profit thing. I mean, both Powell's and the Reader's Guide are businesses, and that's perfectly fine. But Friends of the Library is an organization that supports the library. So I like being able to support the library through purchasing that. Plus, it is far more convenient to me. I mean, Reader's Guide is an hour away. Powell's Cedar Hills is the next town over. So the library is just up the street. So when it's not the library book sale, the selection is limited, and that's fine. I just kind of go and see if there's something there I want to buy. And I don't think I ever pay more than $4 for a book there, whereas I could pay much more. I would say in order of price, it's like the less expensive, the least expensive is the library bookstore. The most expensive of Powell's, and Reader's Guide is somewhere in the middle. And then when they have their big library sale, it is kind of a free-for-all. I will say that. It's an eat or be eaten sale, but they have so much there for such great prices. And it happens twice a year. And I kind of didn't let myself go last time because of the number of books I have, but that's a whole other thing. Okay, second question. Does your bookstore take credit? If so, how much credit do you get for your books? And do they give cash for your books? So I can't answer this, especially because I tend not to sell my books back. If I'm going to unhaul a book, I either give it to someone I know or leave it at a little free library. I do know that if you donate to the Friends of the Library Bookstore, it is a donation. You don't get anything back. Okay, that's fine. Pals, they're very selective about what they buy. And then if they buy something back, you can either get cash or you can get more money on a Pals gift card. So you keep the money in the store. And Reader's Guide, back when I use it, so I haven't had used credit there for a long time. They give you store credit, and then you can use your store credit for up to half the price of your purchase. So let's say you make a total purchase of $20. You can use up to $10 of your store credit towards that purchase. So that's how that works. So yeah, three different ways of doing it. Okay, how often do you go to your used bookstore? Can you share how much credit you have there? Well, as I said, I don't have any credit because I don't sell back books, and that's fine. I go to the Reader's Guide. I would like to go a lot more than I do. It's an hour away. So and lots of times when we go down to Salem, we go down to see family. So we might not be going at a time that I can go to the Reader's Guide. So I'm lucky if I can go once a year to the Reader's Guide. I do make the most of it when I go. I will say that. Library bookstore, I can go every single time I go to the library. Now, I probably, even though I'm a power library user, I probably don't go to the library as much as you might think because so much of my library usage is ebooks and I do Libby. But I would say I go at least a couple times a month to the library. And then when I'm there, I go to the books. I just stop into the bookstore and see what's there. Or if it's the library sale, I go to the library sale, but that's, as I said, twice a year. And Powell's, I probably go Powell's World of Books, downtown Burnside, I go every time I go down to see a play with my friend. And then sometimes just recently when we went to Grand Gesture Books to check that out, then we went over to Powell's because it's just a short walk. So I will say the next time I go see a play with Bookish Best Friend, I'm not going to go to Powell's because we're going on December 21st and I am not going into a retail space on that day. But generally we will go to Powell's after the show. Powell's Cedar Hills, I will go when I need a certain book. So I don't really have a plan at this point to go. Other than after the holiday season, a friend of mine who doesn't have a car, she had received for her birthday a Powell's gift card, and she asked if I would go to Powell's with her after the holiday season. And I said, of course I will. So yeah, it just depends. And of course I will go to Powell's when I need something. Although it's a lot easier for me to order off bookshop.org and support, maybe I basically support usually there's two different things I would support on bookshop.org. One is the Book Cougars podcast because they have a storefront there, and the other is Grand Gesture Books because that's a new bookstore. I really want to support them. It's an independent bookstore, Black owned, downtown Portland, and so I want to support them too. So I usually alternate between those two. So yeah, lots of times if I need a book, I'll order it, but just from bookshop.org. But sometimes I just want to go buy books. In the summer, we have an ice cream store called Salt and Straw, which is fantastic. They have them. It started in Portland. I think they have them also in San Francisco, and I want to say Denver. I could be, but they have these really interesting flavors. But there's one just kind of up the road from Powell's. So the kids want to go to Powell's with me because then we go get ice cream. And I told them they can't annoy me while we're in Powell's, or we're not going to get ice cream. So I go a little bit more in the summer. And the reason it's in the summer is because that ice cream store does not have indoor seating, so it's not fun to go there in the rain. Okay, that was 3. Number 4, what, if any, restrictions does your used bookstore have on how you can use your credit? Not really any. As I said, with Powell's, if you get the credit, it's just on a gift card, so you just use it as you would a gift card. And Reader's Guide, as far as I know, they don't have any restrictions on it other than you can only use it up to half the price of your purchase. And If they do have restrictions, I haven't encountered them, but then again, I don't go these days very often down there. And then of course, Friends of the Bookstore, there's no credit, so. How is your used bookstore organized? What do you like or dislike about how it's organized? So, we'll just go through these again. Pals, it's like a bookstore. So if you go to Pal's World of Books, you might need a map, especially since they've reorganized things. We went there while they were reorganizing. That was interesting. But it's like a bookstore. So Pal's Cedar Hills, where I normally go, as I said, it kind of feels like a Barnes & Noble. You know where all the sections are. It's easy to find. Library, the Friends of the Library bookstore is very small. It only has a couple shelves of each genre, and they kind of rotate books in and out of it. So it's pretty, you know where to go. Now, as for the Reader's Guide, as I said, they used to have this really fun thing where you kind of like went through different little halls and stuff to find things. And I do miss that, but I also understand that from a business standpoint, that's not ideal. Like, it's fun as a customer, but as a business owner, it's probably a nightmare. So I don't begrudge them for moving. So if you go into their bookstore, it's pretty easy. It's very general, like what you would normally find in a bookstore. You have fiction, you have your different genres all around. You have like children's and young adults sort of kind of in a different little area. They do have in the front, they have like these shelves where they'll have some new books. And there's usually like a rhyme or reason to their new books. The last time I went there, they were featuring Brian Doyle. I was so excited. I bought a couple Brian Doyle books that were new from there. But yeah, they don't do anything weird with how they organize their books. At the Reader's Guide, it can shift a little bit just depending on what their volume is, but it's pretty straightforward. Okay. What is the best find or deal you got at a used bookstore? What I have found, oh, I moved it. I can't talk about it. What I have found that the very best deal at the Friends of Library book sale, so not their bookstore, the book sale, the best deal you can find is on cookbooks. I got some very big, I think like salt heats, whatever that one is. I got that for like $5, like almost new copy. That is the deal that you're gonna get there at that particular sale. Problem is, people know that. So if you want to go cookbook shopping at the Friends of Library book sale, you have to go the day it opens, at the moment it opens, and make a beeline, and then be willing to use your elbows to get away people who come with boxes to just pull book, and then they probably resell them. But I would say I've gotten some really, and I can't remember the prices. I used to have them right back here and I could just pull them out, but I think I actually put them away someplace where it made sense. For what they were and what they would cost in the store, incredibly good prices on some cookbooks. Okay. Is there something you saw at your used bookstore and now you regret not purchasing it? I have very little self-control, so no. No, yeah, especially in used bookstores where the prices are lower, especially at the library bookstore where it's like next to nothing. If I see it, I want it, I buy it. There's no element of self-control. Now at Pal's, where the prices are definitely higher. So if you have a hardcover book, I don't have a book from Pal's that I can reach easily. Let's say you have a hardcover book that's a relatively new release that probably sells for, let's say, $29. It's probably going to cost like $19 at Pal's. So I'm not because the prices aren't as low for used books at Pal's. I definitely, if I can get a really good condition used book, I will pay less for it, of course. But I never feel tempted to buy a book because it's so inexpensive at Pal's. Number 8, is there a book you are always on a hunt for at your used bookstore? Yes, and I can't remember the name of it, but it is a collection of short stories by William Kent Kruger that I think you can only get in Minnesota. There was like a limited run of it. It's out of print. I have tried to get it through interlibrary loan. I put a request in and they wrote back and said none of the libraries that we are in the system with have, which I thought, can't you get into a system with the library from Minnesota? But no. But you never know what you're going to find in used bookstores. So I do look, like I will go and look to see if they have a William Kent Kruger short story collection. They never do. But you know, pals like Ike from home can look and see if they have it, because that's all, they have everything on their website. But if I'm at Reader's Guide or if it's a library book sale, I will definitely go check for that. I've yet to find it, so we'll see. I might have to go used bookstore-ish shopping in Minnesota next time I'm there, which I don't go that often. So if you could run your used bookstore for a day, what changes would you make? I would make a point of highlighting some used titles that are probably maybe lesser known. So maybe an early book by a writer who's now famous, who's like, for example, like this is not an author I would do because I don't have the gene that I just adore this author, but Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid really hit the big time with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and her writing kind of changed sort of what she was writing at that point, but she has a whole backlist that's completely different. And I would love to, authors like that, feature those books, because I would most likely have used copies of them. Lisa Jewell is another one like that, and help readers find different sides of their famous authors. Usually when I go to a bookstore and they're featuring books, it's the bestseller books, because those are the books people are looking for. And I would go for the authors people are looking for, but maybe not the books they're looking for. That's what I would do. And 10, if you could go used book shopping with any booktuber in any city, who would you go with and where? Well, I would go with any of you. Any of you. If it were a library sale, I would go with Kim at Middle of the Book March, because she seems to be like the library sale queen. Like, she knows, there's apparently a website that she knows of that will tell you where all the library sales are, and she goes to a whole bunch of them. I'm like, I will go with you. Who else would I go with? I would go charity shopping with Jennifer at Jennifer Loves Books, because I would actually go with anybody in England. Because you have charity shops that have lots of books. I mean, we have Goodwill, but that's really hit or miss. We're looking for books at Goodwill. But the charity shop thing is very different in the UK, and I would definitely want to go try that out. So there you go. That's who I would go with. And now it's time to tag some booktubers. So I have my jar here, and I'm going to pull up this huge list that Kelly did, and we're going to try to pull 3 that she has not tagged. So the first one is, I'm pretty sure this one has been tagged. Oh, she's been tagged. That was Book Chat with Pat. Okay. Okay, here's one. Leandra at the TBR0. Pretty sure she's not on here. Okay. Jennifer at Jennifer Loves Books. Now, see if I can do 3 in a row without having to put one back. Okay, Nicole at Noteworthy Fiction. I don't think the 3 of you have been tagged yet. If you would like to do this tag and I didn't tag you, or if I did tag you and you just want to do it, again, tags are just invitations. They're not requirements, but I would love to see your videos. So please tag me back so I can find them. And thank you very much. Like, subscribe, join my Discord, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.